All right, what's up, everybody? Can we give a shout out to Naisha Harper, everybody?
Look at her in the shot. Wait, Naisha, don't just ignore us like that.
She might too good for us on this Thursday.
We got to get a little behind-the-scenes footage from our very own executive producer, Naisha.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Rooted in Progress. It's your favorite hosts, Deanne King and Terrence Middlebrook.
Yes.
I hope everybody's well, whether you're tuning in now or later.
Yeah,
Ooh,
happy Thursday.
I love now and laters.
The pineapple.
Good.
Green apple was the favorite.
I do like the yellow one.
Yeah.
Terrence, look
Look
at
at
us.
you. You telling your age, Deanne. You telling your age, girl.
All right. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us on Rooted in Progress. We have a really fun episode today. We are going to recap what everyone has been talking about the last few days, the Met Gala. I mean, so much happened. There were so many great looks.
Yeah.
There were some that were like,
There were some good looks.
You tried.
There was some out of the box. I don't even know if out of the box is the correct term for it. So
Okay. There was a girl who came out of the box, like literally.
Exactly.
We're going to show you her and her outfit.
Yeah.
But really what we're going to focus on in today's episode of Rooted in Progress is the progression of the Met Gala. This year we saw a focus tailoring Black style. And this is something, it was a nod to Black Dandyism. We're going to explore what that even is.
Yep.
Because I'm sure half of y'all don't know. But that's okay because we have two phenomenal, incredible, beautiful people who are going to explain everything. Let's bring them in. Yeah. Not only are they well-versed in fashion and fashionable themselves and will give you the shirts off their backs, they're my friends. So I am so happy to have Andrew Browne, Jaison Radcliff joining us from Central Florida. We love y'all. Hey, friends.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Deanne.
How are you?
How y'all doing today?
Good.
Welcome.
We are doing all right.
Yeah.
Yes, we're so excited to have y'all on Rooted in Progress, giving you all a little background on Jaison and Andrew. They have so many titles, Terrence, to their names. They are entrepreneurs. They are owners of the Paper Bar Company, and we're going to dive into that a little bit later. They are also the founders of their Form to Fashion organization. They are educators. They are illustrators. They are artists. They are fashion enthusiasts. Did I forget something, y'all?
Phenomenal.
Very good.
So we're going to dive into all things with Jaison and Andrew. I want to talk about what you all especially recently did as it relates to the Met Gala. So tell us a little bit more about Paper Bar Form to Fashion and how you all utilize your brand to actually discuss and recap the Met Gala itself.
So I will leave that part to Andrew.
Go ahead, Andrew. Do we have Andrew? Where's
Andrew
Andrew?
Andrew,
I think we might have froze. I'm here.
Okay, perfect. It's okay. We love technology.
We've had
I
a run
wanted
this
you to explain to us a little bit about the Paper Bar and Form to Fashion and how you all utilize your stage to even create your own kind of Met Gala recap.
So with the Paper Bar, it started as a stationery brand and turned into a live illustration events company where we meet different brands, partner with them to bring that live illustration activation to whatever event that they're having. With Form to Fashion, we focus primarily on educating the next generation of creative professionals. So whether that's teaching them how to sew, teaching them how to design, teaching them how to illustrate, teaching them how to animate, teaching them anything that can be used in the fashion industry, teaching them about the business, and really getting that next creative generation going and giving them inspiration and letting them know that they can reach the dreams that they have. And we put all that together to bring in Coming in Hot and talk about the experience that we have in the industry with the Met Gala, with so many contacts that we have in the industry, and just to kind of educate and demystify the whole Met Gala process, because for a long time it has been something not shrouded in secrecy, but if you know, you know, and if you don't, there wasn't really access for you to know. And kind of getting our students, our audience, to understand what it is and understand how celebrities get there, what they're wearing, and that type of thing, and breaking it down so it's easy to understand.
So we're looking at some video right now of their Coming In Hot show. So now y'all see what I'm talking about by fashion enthusiasts, like dressed down. Like it looked like they should have been at the Met Gala. I want to get your thoughts on this year's theme. I know y'all have a lot of opinions on what the Met Gala decided to do this year. So talk about the theme itself and how it even kind of birthed itself and created and merged Black culture and fashion.
So I think really what we are seeing is the chairperson's Anna Wintour's true love letter to a icon of dandyism, and that's Leon Talley. But I also think it is appropriate and it is time that our culture and the Black diaspora is celebrated for the innovation and the style and the essence that we have brought into the industry. So for me, it's about time that we are center stage. We have seen shows through the looking glass that was exploration and celebration of Asian culture and designers and artistry. So it's about time that we get our just due for the resilience and the freedom of spirit that we have shown, not just throughout history, but throughout fashion.
As we look at this video, we see all types of fashion, all types of styles. Where do you guys get your inspiration from?
Oh gosh, I think where every Southern boy gets their inspiration from, right? Their mother, their grandmother. The Black church really has been the major cultural touch point, because when we go to church, we really put that ish on. Yeah. We make sure that we are dressed head to toe.
First Sunday,
to the nines.
The hats.
That's right,
yeah.
Because that center aisle is your runway. My father's a preacher, so I grew up with him really making sure that his gaiters matched his suit, and he had a different pair, different color every Sunday, and they could not be plastic. They could not be vinyl. They had to be authentic alligator, crocodile skin. And that's how I grew up. I grew up with having my first style icons were really my mom, my dad, and my grandmother.
Wow.
Interesting. Yeah.
Do you think we see that on the runway, especially like with what we saw at the Met this year?
Oh yeah, I think when you look at Tiana Taylor, it brings me into remembrance Michelle Obama. And the reason is, if everyone remembers inaugural day, when she walked down that street on Pennsylvania Avenue, Michelle had on every color, green and citron you could think of. But we celebrated that, right? Because that's how our mothers dressed to church. That's how you dress for an occasion. You put it all on, you put on a brooch, you put on an earring. I told my mother, it was first Sunday this past weekend, and I said, Mom, did you put it all on? And she was like, that's right, honey. Hat, earrings, necklace, right? But that's how you show up. You show up authentically and in full regalia. So absolutely, what we saw on Monday is what we see every day on Sunday, every week.
I love that. And I want you all to explain, because this has also been even a topic just like at work or just with people in general, where people don't know what Black Dandyism is and where it stems from and what it should look like. Like people are like, was this like, what is the theme? I'm struggling trying to figure that out. So both of y'all explain to us what Black Dandyism is and the history behind it.
For the person who does not or has never heard of dandyism or Black dandyism, I think one of the easiest ways to describe it, and I mentioned it in our show and I'll mention it here, Dapper Dan has two really easy ways to describe it. There's an ascot dandy, so that's someone like Andre Leon Talley or Coleman Domingo, who is dressed in their finery. And then there's a sportswear dandy. He called it a sweatsuit dandy, and that's more athletic. So think like A$AP Rocky or Stephon Diggs of the NFL, where you have two sides to someone who really pays attention to what they wear, pays attention to and studies fashion and studies how they can use it to portray themselves to the world.
That's different.
Yeah, it is. But as we see throughout history, they say history begins to repeat itself.
Yeah.
And with the bold tailor suits of what dandyism is or a part of, do you see that coming back? Is it here? Because there was that period of time in the late 80s, early 90s with the big baggy suits, perhaps like the Steve Harvey suits and all that. But now everything is more tailored fitting, bold colors. Is that back?
It is back, but I think when we look at dandyism from a historical context, it is more about resistance, right? Mr. Browne, who founded that movement, if you will, understood he was transitioning from the powdered wigs and the glorious excess, and was transitioning into something that was more authentically him. And for them, tailored, but extravagant. So they were spending more money on fabrication and matching underpinnings and jackets. So what we are seeing, even in the 80s, tailored doesn't always mean tight. Tailored means custom, right? It is customized for you. So when we look at the 80s and the 90s, remember the 80s was a time of glorious excess, right? You were really looking at the rise of opulence. During the 80s, you had Dallas and you had shoulder pads. So, of course, we had our baggy suits. But look at Dapper Dan. Dapper Dan is one of the architects of customization, making something for you. So many of those baggy suits that we saw, LL Cool J, Kool Moe Dee, and all of those hip-hop icons, those pieces were tailored. They were made specifically for them. And so we have to remember that tailored for you is really going to mean what works well or what works best for you. There's Meg Thee Stallion, looking stunning. Her hairstyle was actually modeled after Josephine Baker. So another nod to a Black cultural icon.
Yeah. I love that I'm seeing the wheels turn for people. I'm looking at some of the comments right now on our live Facebook stream. They're like, oh, now I get it. Like it's now registering what this Met was supposed to look like and what this Black style and tailored and what all these things look like. And you bring up a very important name, Andre Leon Talley. Rest in peace, right? And you mentioned how even Black Dandyism really stems from him. Talk about him and his history and what he brought. I mean, Coleman Domingo, you brought him up too. Literally all of his styles were a nod to Andre Leon.
And a lot of people did that. Tessa Thompson had a church fan with his face on it.
He was larger than life. He is my mentor in my head.
I love that for you.
But even in our show, I wore a oversized silk satin cape just to kind of memorialize him and the influence that he's had on the industry. But I think what we have to look at when we look at Andre is he was authentically himself. He tells this great story of how he had nothing to wear and Karl Lagerfeld gave him a dressing gown, which is one of my favorite stories. And he says, I had nothing and I put on a dressing gown of all things. And I walked out of there, but he understood how to walk with his head held high and confidence. And because of that, everyone loved this dressing gown that was really loungewear that he turned into something beautiful and spectacular because he did it with confidence and authenticity. And so because of that, that is dandy, right? That's pretty cool, pretty awesome to be able to walk out of a hotel room or a suite and go to this fabulous party in what looks like sleepwear, but completely transition into something fabulous.
Yeah, a true fashion icon. And I'm sure he would have really appreciated this Met.
He would have.
He would have. And I would have loved to see how he would have stepped on that carpet, because I could only imagine.
In his words, there would not have been a famine of beauty, because we all saw everyone in full regalia.
Yeah.
Very few people missed for me. I think we really look at the significance and the importance of what people had on and why they did it. This is what the Met Gala is all about: cultural expression and raising awareness for the arts and fashion.
You mentioned hit or miss. We come on, Terrence. We're going to go ahead and do it. We're going to go through some of these looks. I know it's what a lot of people have been waiting on. If you're listening, just hear about the people who we're talking about. But we're going to go through some of these looks, and you tell us if it was a hit or a miss, Andrew and Jaison. We just passed Diana Ross. I think everybody can agree. Hit. 10s across the board. 10s across the board. What about Doechii, Tampa's very own? What did y'all think about her outfit?
Doechii looked incredible. I think what I loved is that she mixed all of the Louis Vuitton looks and prints and patterns. She looked great.
This is one that I thought was a miss. Gayle King, I'm sorry.
Maybe
I'm missing something.
I think it's challenging because the theme is tailored for you. So it's really about how can you take something that is going to work for your body type, your body shape. How is it? And you're going to mix what is considered classic tailoring, so suiting, but make it work for you being comfortable and showing up. Because you have to remember, it's a gala. So they are raising money, but they're also there all night long. You have to have dinner. You have to mingle and mix with people and talk. And so you need to wear something that you actually like, but then you're actually comfortable in, and balance that with the business that goes behind the scenes of who you chose to wear and that type of thing. So some of them are a little controversial, but some of them, it really is for them, and they had to be comfortable in it.
Well, you talk about comfort, you talk about balance. Let's talk about Andre 3000.
Andre 3000 has always beat to his own drum.
Yeah.
I think he had such an incredible message. I think the Met Gala is about messaging, right? Look at Janelle Monáe. She was a time traveler, past, present, and future, wearing Trump Lloyd in terms of the art form, designed by Tom Browne in partnership with the incredible Paul Tazwell. But back to Andre, he's wearing the music industry on his back, right?
Correct.
He is carrying the industry.
That's good.
But also with a trash bag, saying that, what's that message? That maybe the industry is trash, right? There's still trash to pick up. There's so much to peel back and interpret there. But more than anything, this is about how do you bring awareness to what you believe in, but also what is your message? How do you convey who you are and what you stand for through your style of dress? And that is what makes this gala so important this year, because there were so many subtle nods to messaging and our culture and the celebration and resistance. This is resistance.
Yeah. And he also dropped like a EP where he actually, all of his songs, he's on the piano and things like that. So there were so many messages behind why he had this big old piano on his back. Now, I imagine somehow the piano went somewhere once he got inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
I don't know with Andre. He could be the one to walk around and carry on conversations as it being a centerpiece. To start a conversation. So,
this is who I want to talk about. Coleman Domingo. First of all, any carpet, any probably lunch that man attends, he never misses. I gotta hear y'all's input, because I think Coleman was definitely a hit. He never first of all, he never misses. But what were your thoughts on Coleman and the example that he set from the news conference that he did prior to the Met all the way to his interviews on the carpet? What were your thoughts on Coleman Domingo?
So I think Coleman Domingo, first he came with the blue cape, both looks by Valentino. And it's really a nod to Andre Leon Talley, who wore a blue cape to the Met Gala many years ago. So there's that direct link. But then when you take the cape off and you actually see his suit that he has underneath, it is his style. It's quintessential Coleman Domingo. with that ascot that was tied like a bow in the front, floral detail on the collar. It's him. And he's showing up as himself. He's not going to apologize for that. And it really is not an armor, but it's making sure that you see him as who he wants you to see him as, his authentic self. And you can't really take that away. And everything that he's doing is tied back to the culture that he grew up with, the icons that he grew up idolizing. Because Coleman Domingo, you know, he's not in his 20s or in his 30s. He's an older man. So he has a rich tapestry of experience that he brings with him everywhere he goes.
That's true. Jaison, what were your thoughts on Coleman?
I think that he set the bar. He raised the standard of what a chairman looks like, but also look at what he wore during the press conference. He had on a sideways Kangol style cap, right? That is truly the essence of our culture. But he was able to effectively articulate what inspired him, his why and his purpose as being a co-chair. So I think he just raised the bar on what we should be looking for, but also shone a lens on what young Black men in fashion and entertainment, what we sound like, what we look like, how we represent ourselves, and how we are shown in the industry. I think he's an incredible leader. I think he's done an incredible job being one of the 4 co-chairs this year, all Black men in the industry. So this was a major, major move for us. And more than anything, it was a Black parade and a celebration.
It was, absolutely.
It definitely was. From his, and you mentioned his news conference, I have the quote because he said that he was going to quote George C. Wolfe, and that quote was, "God created Black people, and Black people created style." It takes a lot, one, to get on a microphone on a national stage and say something like that and make that the subject of your message, right? Yes. And he wanted to talk about how style really does stem from Black culture within its own right and by its own self. And the fact that it is now finally being seen across the board, especially on a stage like the Met, that's huge. And so when we look and we start thinking about the future of fashion, right, and how we incorporate Black culture and African-American history and fashion, where do you think we go from here?
Higher. We go higher. This is our lane. This belongs to us. I tell my students all the time, this is your heritage. It's your inheritance. So do not let anybody take it away from you. Don't let anyone steal it from you. This belongs to you. It is inherently yours. And we will inherit the earth, right? Just not as a people, as a culture, as style architects and up-and-coming icons. But truly, we deserve a place, and it's ours. And so I tell everyone, take your place. Stand strong, stand tall, be authentic, and do what my grandmother said. Put that ish on.
I know that's right. And Andrew, I know you work particularly really close, both you and Jaison, with students, right? And when we're talking about the future and we're talking about what it looks like moving forward, how do you all translate this message and use what we just witnessed with the Met and educate the next generation, which is literally what Formative Fashion is all about? How do you utilize current life, like current events, to make sure our next generation is not only consuming it, but processing it and then taking it to make effective change in the future?
I think you can give them credit. They are a lot smarter than we think that they are. They digest the information and they ask questions, and they're not afraid to march to the beat of their own drum. But what we really encourage them to do is to do just that. Focus on being your true authentic self. And if that means sometimes you have to take a journey on your own, then that's okay, because you are strong enough to do it. You have all of the resources to do it. And that doesn't mean in yourself, but that means you have the village behind you. You have your parents, you have us, you have your teachers, you have your friends. And sometimes, as we know as adults, you take a road, a journey on your own. And it's okay. And you can come out on the other side effective. You can come out on the other side a better person and more respected and more like yourself. And when you see all of these looks on the red carpet where everyone is interpreting one theme for themselves and being authentic to themselves, it gives the next generation hope. Like, oh, I see myself in that person. Whether you classically come from the South and you might see someone like Coleman Domingo, or whether you come from mixed heritage and you can see someone like Bad Bunny, who is Afro-Latino and paid homage to Black Puerto Rican culture, or Willie Trevara and Maluma paying homage to the Latino zoot suit style that was criminalized back in the 40s, but became style itself along with the African American style zoot suit.
Wow.
When they see those people being themselves and being celebrated and being successful, it inherently gets them to believe, I can do that too. My parents can do that too. My sister can do that too. My best friend can do that too. And that's the message that we pass on to them.
That's good.
So speaking of hope, Andrew and Jaison, we know that you guys being a small business, that you rely a lot on social media. And if you go back and look at Savannah James and her red carpet appearance, she found her designer on Instagram. What does that mean for you guys because she could have went any route. She could have went the high route or the high road. And she took and I'm reading a quote that she mentioned right here in Vogue magazine, was that I was on Instagram one day. This is shortly after I gotten word that I had been invited to attend the Met, and I didn't know what direction to go. So therefore I just hopped on Instagram. So how inspiring is that for you guys, being a small business, that, this could be you one day?
So I will tell you, that is us. Beautiful short story, just being on Instagram. We released during the pandemic and in the rise of social unrest, a book called Black Influence and African Americans in Fashion History. And creative director Sergio Hudson, Charles, found our book on Instagram.
Wow.
And purchased it for his niece and for his goddaughters, and continues to support. Misa Hilton has purchased our book, Black Influence, from Instagram. And so that truly is a touch point and a way to communicate through different channels with industry makers and industry professionals. So we are very fortunate and very blessed to have social media, because it does give us a closer contact to industry leaders, but also people who may just be interested in our movement and what we're doing to shape our communities. Every thought counts, every click matters. Yeah. And because of that, we are able to move through education and use fashion as the vehicle to do it.
That's awesome, man.
I mean, Sergio Hudson is insane.
Amazing. Brilliant. He's a brilliant mind. And he has Charles as the creative director. If you guys go and follow him, he posted some of the illustrations of a few of the looks. And they truly are a dynamic duo. But Sergio Hudson is brilliant. He dressed, I believe, 20 people on Monday night.
Wow. Unbelievable.
I think that there's so many facets. Like, I know I jokingly said, like, you all have so many titles behind your name, but it also just speaks to the talent that you all bring, but also the passion that you bring to the table. And I know personally, because I love y'all so much. Like, I wish everybody in America knew, everybody across the world knew what you all do. But what I want for my friends who's looking at this, bring up that video, Terrence, that shows Jaison. Y'all, I don't think you get what this man can do. In like 5 minutes, this man can draw everything that you have on. You will feel like the baddest mamma jamma ever alive once you get that drawing. He does it for small scale events all the way. And you talk about the power of social media, Terrence. Like, Jaison and Andrew do this for like the highest of the high companies, Bloomingdale's, Neiman Marcus, Dillard's, you name it. They are working with these international corporate companies producing this service to people in the community. So I'm going to dive in, and I know more of the story, and I'm not going to share anything you don't want people to know, Jaison, but talk about this. This started at such a young age for you being able to just illustrate and be able to put your thoughts onto paper. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I have two incredible parents and grandparents who honed my craft and loved me and celebrated my authenticity and individuality. I started drawing as soon as I could remember, honestly, at 5 years old. And you see this commercial. I've told Ian this story over and over. But my mom saw the talent and filled out a school application and submitted it without putting my age. And they called back and said, he's talented, he's great, we want to do an interview. And she said, well, okay, 85. And he said, well, he's 5. And they could not believe it. And they came to my home and did all these assessments and tests and said, draw this and draw the log cabin, draw the pirate. And I was able to do it. And back then in the 90s, they would have said I was a prodigy. They would have said, oh my God, he's brilliant. Let's get him, every opportunity. But they didn't. They said, well, if he's interested when he's old enough, then we would love to have him. And my mother has always kind of said, there is a power and a purpose in the word if. And she believed that I could be anything. And she used to tell me every day, your gift will make room. Your gift will make room. Don't worry about what people say. Your gift will make room. You don't have to be the smartest. Your gift will make room. And I wasn't athletic. I was moderately academic, but I was extremely artistic. And I call those my 3 A's. You have students that fit into one of those 3 categories or all. I cater to the ones who are highly artistic, who have to give and don't know where to go. But I'm able to do that because I had a foundation of parents who believed in my talent, honed that craft, put me in programs, pushed me to draw better, celebrated every small win. I was going through some photo albums with my grandfather over the weekend, and he said, your grandmother kept everything. And I mean everything. Wow. And he used to say, anything you gave to her, she would keep. She doesn't throw anything away. And I said, some of these pictures are really bad. Really bad. But she celebrated it. And she told me I was great. And she told me she loved it. And she proved that by keeping it. And so now with the paper bar, I'm able to recreate those moments of pride and celebration. But more than anything, it's not a caricature, right? It is me capturing the essence and the style of who you are. Because what a beautiful way to celebrate individuality by getting an artist to draw what you took time and energy to put on and show up as yourself. So that's why I do the paper bar. It's truly in the spirit of fashion and celebration of individual style.
And what about you, Andrew? How did this get started for you?
He stole it. That's how.
I was gonna say this is real. We want the real.
I don't want to cut y'all off. So listen, the paper bar would not be here if it wasn't for Andrew. I draw on everything, mail, newspaper, and Andrew decided that he was gonna steal the artwork.
Boom.
Okay, pause, because
and post it on Etsy because I threw it in the trash. Right? It was, I draw and toss it. He decided to make it into stationery and sell it on Etsy. Well, this is in the middle of, people having fraud, and I have a fear of Russia coming to get me. You understand?
Not Russia.
So this is what happened. I start getting notifications in the bank, $40, $50, $100. And I'm like, Andrew, something's happening. I'm getting strange deposits from Etsy. From
Etsy.
I don't know who that is. The Bitsy Spider. I don't know. And he said, oh no. And he sent me a link. And I said, oh, Andrew, somebody stole my artwork. And he was like, no, I posted it for you. I said, I didn't ask you to do that. I did not take it down. Nobody wants that. And he said, but they do. Look, And so then I started seeing by the end of the day,
That check was checking.
I had $400. I said, well, what else can we post?
Andrew, what did you see? Like, what made you take that out of the trash and say, you know what, I'm gonna post this. I believe in this. It can go somewhere.
Because it was good. It still is good. And so my background, I'm not artistic in any way. I can't draw. If you ever have attended one of our events and you ask, you know, do you draw too? I always tell people I draw like a third grader. That's not my thing. But I have a place in the art industry, in the fashion industry. Everybody needs someone behind the scenes. Everybody needs a business person to send invoices. Everybody needs these people to support them. So because I don't draw and I'm more academically inclined, you know, I'm a mathematician by trade. I liked the artwork. I saw the artwork and I liked it. And I knew that other people liked it. And I just thought, there's no reason why this is not selling somewhere. And did I fish it out the trash? I did. He crumpled it up. I opened it back. I ironed it flat. I scanned it, because this was back when you had a scanner.
Period.
I scanned it, put it and made a card and sent it out as a holiday card. And everyone kept asking, well, oh my gosh, where'd you get this card? And I didn't think anything of it, but in the back of my head, I knew I'm going to tell people I made it. If they ask, I already have a link, I'll send it. And I just set it up in the background because I wanted to see it come to life. And I wanted not to prove, but to show, like, Jaison, this is really good. Yeah. And if you want to make some money off of it, here's how we can do that. Here's how you can do that. You don't have to discard something that you don't necessarily like. Or if you really like it, you can do something like this and it can be successful. Yeah. And it's an unorthodox story, but it's very funny. It's very true. Did I steal it? I did. Like, I had to make a bank account.
Did you actually steal it, or did you just pull it out and put it out the trash?
He stole it.
And put life to it.
I had to go over there. I had to take it out of the garbage. I had to feel what I was doing.
One man's junk is another man's treasure. Does that fit there?
It ended up being my treasure.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was like, you went in my bank. Why would you do that?
The story is hilarious, but I think it's the beauty in discovery, right? There's such a fond beauty in this story, as hilarious as it is and as questionable as it may have been in the beginning. But you look at a crumpled piece of paper in the trash turning into a Etsy card, to you making floor to ceiling illustrations for designers in stores like Bloomingdale's and Neiman Marcus. Jaison, that's insane.
Yeah.
It stemmed from Andrew having a vision and believing in your craft. And the story is, I could listen to it every day.
And I'm going to add to it, and it stems from Andrew really believing in a friend. Being a friend and believing in you, where you didn't even believe in yourself at that point.
Yeah.
So, man,
it's true. Awesome. I had just left a major corporate job, what I thought was the job of my dreams. I was traveling, I was training, I was in fashion, getting clothes. And I decided to leave because I didn't have enough access and enough, mentors who looked like me within the industry, within the company.
Yeah.
And I remember making the decision. I was firm and I knew I wanted to leave. But that week I cried. I called my mom. I'm like, I don't know what to do. She says, your gift will make room. And I'm like, okay, that's it. Like,
where's the room?
We have got to cut this out. But she said, okay, I love you. Bye. My mom is very short. She is not a woman of many words. She's very intuitive, but matter of fact. She said, listen, your gift will make room. God will provide. And I'm like, oh no.
Here we go.
I don't got a job.
Yeah.
And, I drew. That is my release. That is my escape. I love fashion. I love drawing. Yeah. And like my mom and my dad before Drew, he believed in it. And I'm so grateful that he did, because I would not be here. I would not have met our dear friend, DM, if it was not for the power of belief.
Yeah.
And my gift has actually made room and continues to make room.
It does.
And I want my purpose to be this, to make room for others. I hope that my gift opens up the door for other artists, for other young people, to take that unorthodox path, to leave the dream career and do what brings you joy, because it'll change the world. Not only will you see yourself in big lights and all of the fun things that come with it, but you'll be changing lives and you'll be creating a trajectory that you never thought you could.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
You see how God works.
Right.
I don't know if you even heard what you just said. You said your outlet was that you started drawing. You used the word drew. I drew. And it took Drew to pull your drawings out of the garbage and present to where you guys are, where you are today. So
that's huge. I want to also before we wrap up here, because what you all do is just so phenomenal with your love and your passion for fashion, right? But how you take your artistry and fashion and educate the next generation. Yes. We've been talking about how you all do that. So while Jaison might be the one who's drawing all the beautiful things, Andrew spends a lot of time with Form to Fashion, actually with the students and educating these students. So talk about Form to Fashion and how people can support that Form to Fashion venture, Drew.
So I mentioned a little bit of it earlier. Form to Fashion is a fashion education company that our mission is to train the next generation of fashion creatives. You can follow us, Form to Fashion, visit our website, form2fashion.com, and really support the arts and support the industry. We have a saying, we don't believe in the starving artist. You can be an artist and you can make money and you can have a career. And parents and, my parents pushed academics, and it got me to be a successful academic, very intelligent, but you can also be an artist as well. But you can also support artists as well. Every artist needs someone to help them find an office space. Every designer needs a lawyer. Every designer needs someone creative. Being a designer is not just a one-time thing. So you might have a passion for fashion, but maybe you don't want to design. Maybe you want to be a lawyer for a fashion designer. That's an entire career. Maybe you want to be a fashion journalist. That's an entire career. This one industry that's fashion supports so many jobs, and so many of us are successful in that industry. And your child can be successful in this industry. If you believe in your child and you believe in their passion and you find it at Form to Fashion, we can hone it. We can get them into school and they can be successful. You just put a little bit of faith behind it. It does take some money. So of course you have to, pay for certain things, but that always pays off in the end. So many of our students have graduated, are being placed in the industry, have jobs, and even if
going to the top schools in the industry.
We place students at SCAD, Parsons, FIT, FIDM/ASU. The program is successful. It's educationally sound. It's backed by state standards, and the proof is in the pudding. We have students that are successful. We have young students that are creating things that their grandparents who know how to make the things look and say, oh my gosh, this is so good for your age. Of course, when you have the support and you have that village behind them, they can be successful. And so here at Form to Fashion, that's what we do.
That's amazing.
That's it. Is that not like, y'all are everything. Yes. I hope the takeaway here is not just the hit or misses with the Met Gala, but also seeing that the people, Black folks, African Americans, have a place in the fashion industry. We have a place in the arts, whether it's, like you said, Drew, whether it's behind the scenes or whether it's actually being the artist itself. Like, we deserve, and we can make room for us at the table. Okay? Come on, mama. Mama knew what she was talking about, Jaison.
She did. But listen, most of the time she is pretty spot on and right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. All right. Well,
Guys,
folks,
thank
if
you
you
all so
wanna follow Jaison and Andrew, we have both of their Instagram pages. It's at the Paper Bar Co. and then at Form #2 Fashion, and they have web pages that have their rates. Don't think my friend's gonna be doing stuff for y'all for the free. Won't do the free. We gonna pay. All right, Jaison, Andrew, thank you for joining us on Rooted
Guys,
in
thank you all
Progress.
so much.
Thank you.
Francine, thank you so much.
Of course. All right, y'all. Y'all know we're here every Thursday, 9:30 in the morning. We was a little late today, but that's okay.
Sorry. Thanks for
CPT
sticking
time.
with us. It's okay.
We appreciate
Had a little
you.
technical difficulties.
We
But
are live every morning on the WFLA Facebook page and the WFLA app. Be sure to follow and like us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube as well. Always a good time, a little bit of culture, a little bit of education, and a whole lot of fun.
stay rooted, people.
Stay rooted.